everyone and welcome. This video will be the winner for the Bewitching Cross Stitch. I am sorry I'm late about the drawing, but yeah, life happens. I haven't been good at all, so we just roll with it. And the second part, or the main part, will be the year in review tag for 2018. So, I might be very brain scattered because, as I said, I'm not the best. And these might come on because I couldn't find my normal headband thingy, so this is the only one I could find. I only have one, and then I did find like this in the furthest in a closet on my bathroom. I actually used to use this a whole lot. Not going to go into details. So I have just put in my URL into the YouTube random comment picker, and then I will press start, and let's see, and let's see, and let's see. The winner is, oh, Adele! And she is saying, I'm grateful for you, Rita. You are my ray of sunshine. Oh, thank you so much. So, Adele, you won the Bewitching Cross Stitch book. So, I'm pretty sure I have your address. I actually think I have managed to write it down. So I will get this in the mail to you. And just start bugging me about when I have sent it, because I am way too lazy when it comes to get to the post office. I don't like my post office. Or I actually like the post office. It isn't that bad. The post office is inside a grocery store here in Norway. Most of them are now. So it means the post office is open until the grocery store closes, and it opens when the grocery store opens. So it's like open from what, 7, 8 a.m. until 9, 10 p.m. So it's like it should be manageable for me to get there. But I need a car to get there unless I have to walk for 15 minutes back and forth. And as I said, I'm lazy. So yeah, let's get over to year in review 2018 tag. I have it on my iPad, so if I'm looking down a whole lot, it's not because I don't like you. I do like you. It's just because everything is written down here. So, and I should try and remember to drink some tea. I have made myself some tea. I made myself puka. Wild apple and cinnamon tea with a hint of ginger. And it's actually a tea I like. There's not many tea I do like to drink. And just that way. So I'm just getting the tea bag out of the cup. So yeah, not many teas I do like, but this one I actually like really like. I like the last month I have almost drank up a whole box of tea. And usually a box of tea will last, what, a year in this house. And this is my Hero Academia cup. It's an anime. So I'm not too well in my throat, so that's why I need the tea. But let's just jump into year in review tag for 2018. So, my favorite whip. These first questions are all favorite, least favorite. So, whip. Favorite and least favorite whip. My favorite whip was my Kyo Sagabo. Yeah, I loved him. And my least favorite whip was my Stiachelon. Yup. Finish, favorite finish and least favorite finish. It's the same, my Kyo Sagabo and my Stiachelon. FFO, favorite FFO has to be my 12 Doctor's Clock. Unfortunately, my husband managed to drop this in the floor, so the mechanism is ruined, so I actually have to try and replace it and see if I can get it working again. Because it did work. My least favorite will have to be my BB-8. It's not like I hate it or anything, but it's the least favorite. It doesn't mean it's the one you have to hate. So it's just, I crochet the edges and I don't know. It was hard to crochet around the hoop and it just, the edges somewhere, I still try and fix it, didn't end up quite as I wanted them to. So that's that one. But my son really loves it, so I guess it's not that bad. And New Start, my favorite has to be my Raccoon Cabin by Country Cottage Needlework, the Frosted Forest series. And it's just, I love it. And I'm not going to show it because I will spoil it, even though I did show it in my whip parade. But that one I just love. And I'm actually quite annoyed by myself for making it an A to C stitch with me, because that means I can't stitch on it without filming, and I don't like to film with other people in the house, so I can't stitch on it when I want, whenever I want. So but I love that one. It's a really fun stitch, and as long as people love that series, it will keep coming because I love to stitch on that whip. My least favorite start, Stiachelon. I think I liked part 1, and I didn't dislike part 3. And I didn't absolutely hate part 4, but when part 5 arrived and until the end, I pretty much highly disliked it. Let's put it that way. So that was my least favorite start of 2018. And that's why my whips, both of them, was finishes, but I am counting 2018, and they were both whips in 2018. Just so you know why I didn't have anything else there. Tools. My favorite tools. Well, my tacky bob. My needle case. My Ort catcher that I got when I ordered some Q-snaps. I got two free needle cases and a free Ort catcher, and I really love them. They're quite, I use them all the time. My Omnic frames and my Lowry stand, I have to say, is some of my favorites. I could keep this going, but especially my Lowry stand and now my Omnic frames is and will be a great help, have been and will be a great help in the future. Because when my illness is really bad, it's like I can't grip properly anything, or if I do grip something, suddenly it's like my brain turns off the fact that I can grip anything, and I just lose it. And when you sit and stitch and hold the frame and suddenly you just drop it, that's not the best thing. So my Lowry stand is really helpful. The only thing I usually drop now are my needle, so that's good. My least favorite tool, I bought some John James needles in a bulk. Usually I love John James needles, but I bought these one in a bulk, and they break so easily. They're like, I can sit and take the needle and just put a little bit of force on it and break it. Like that. That's not a good needle for me. So I don't like that one. Techniques. My favorite technique. It has been the pin stitch. Karen the Needlebug, I watched one of her videos. She usually does stitch with me. And she did the pin stitch. And she showed it on Ada, so I was like, ooh, I have a lot of full coverage on Ada. And I usually like to start with the loop method. That is also a favorite, but I didn't know it before 2018. I usually start with the loop method, but when I cut the floss and are going to start it somewhere else because I don't like to carry too long chunks of floss on the back, then I can't use the loop method sometimes because the floss is so short when I did cut it. And the pin stitch is a really good way to start your shorter floss to get them used. And they're also a great way to finish off your floss when stitching. So that has become one of my main techniques that I'm using. I always, like 99.999%, end my floss with a pin stitch. And of course there is exceptions. Sometimes I play thread chicken and the floss just gets too short, so I have to anchor it on the back, or I stitch petite point, which is 1/1 stitching. You do 1/1 full cross stitching and it's called petite point. If I do that, the pin stitch doesn't work very well. And also when I do my full coverage on 25 count and higher counts, I usually stitch 101, and I know some people can pierce the threads in the weave to do the pin stitch, but I haven't managed to do it that way. I know Teresa Little Stitcher does kind of a pin stitch when she's actually doing the cross stitch. So I have been thinking that I might want to try out one of those and see if I can get it to work, because I really like my pin stitch. Or else in the future all I will ever do is like 22 count hardanger or Aida, because I tried hardanger with the pin stitch and that works fine. My least favorite, I don't like the waist knot method. It just it's just too much. It gets too messy for me. Coming from one that is parking and I have floss all over the place, but I like the floss that is actually on the front is the floss that I'm going to use and not something I am going to cut. But I have like a variation of the waist knot method that I do. It's a mix between a waist knot and the lasso method, the lasso method, you kind of like, you stitch the first leg and go up to do the second leg, but stop there without pulling the floss fully through. So on the back you have a little loop, so you pull the loop so you catch the tail of the floss and secure it. That is one way you can start your floss when you're only using one strand. So I'm kind of like using that from the front in the way that I will go down like further along on the row I'm going to stitch, just a few stitches away from where I originally would start. So if I'm going to start at the I usually always start bottom left, so I will go down at the top right of that stitch 4 or 5 stitches away, and I go down and I go up where I would normally start in my bottom left, and I pull the floss so there is just a little tail hanging on the front. Then I go down doing the first leg without pulling anything, so I don't pull the floss that is still hanging. Then I will go up to do my second leg. I go up the bottom right, and then I can pull, because then when I pull it through, it will secure the floss that it has the tail will be secured underneath, and then I just do a few more stitches, and then I take the length of floss that was just hanging on the front, I pull it tight, cut it, and it's secure, and it's not on the front of my fabric, and it's not like on my front of the fabric for a long while. So that is how I do that. So it's kind of like a mix between the waist knot and the lasso method that I just started using when doing 101. Materials. My favorite materials, I think I will have to say my silk floss. I really do like stitching with my silks. if you remember, after the Christmas and Stiatlong stitching, I really did not think I would get my stitching bug back so fast, but I picked up my ink circles for in the bush, which I stitch with silks, and I totally fell in love again with stitching. So I have to say, silk floss. My least favorite, I have some Anchor Mallet floss, which is a rayon floss, and it's not like I want to use them. I use them pretty much. They give a really nice shine, so I like the way they look when done. They shine the way you would imagine silk would shine. But they can be pretty tricky to stitch with on their own. But what I have found when I did my fairy tales was that if I used one DMC metallic, one strand of DMC metallic and one strand of the rayon floss, the rayon floss is so slippery, and the metallics, everybody know, it's a little bit grungy, stiffer. So when you combine those two, they actually stitch up pretty normal as you would stitch with a cotton floss. It's weird, but it works. I promise you. So, but yeah, rayon floss on its own, not my favorite to stitch with. Metallics and stuff I can handle. It's just they make a little bad sound when going through the fabric, and you have to stitch a little slower. But the rayon floss, that's a whole nother story when stitching with it. Pattern releases of 2018. My favorite one has to be Clouds Factory Epic Storybook Princesses. I had been looking and looking and looking for a pattern that would be something like that. I am still looking for one doing all the Disney classics in one of those styles, like a huge one where you can have all the Disney classics. Maybe to not make it too big, just have a small picture of each and every one of the Disney classics. But so far I haven't found one. And so that one kind of like, for now, is good enough. Having all the princesses like that. So I am looking forward to the day I can get a good amount of my whip piled down so I can stitch more on my Epic Storybook Princesses. My least favorite, and this is not like I hate this pattern or anything, I'm just saying the one that is my least favorite, and the reason it is my least favorite is because I got disappointed. And it's Into the Jungle by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. When that sale was coming out 2018, I had already bought way too much. I was already too late starting some of the other sales I was doing, so I was thinking I would put a hold on it for buying it. But I really like what I had seen in the beginning, and just after a while I just didn't like it. Some of there's too many blocks I do not like. Usually I can handle one or two blocks that I don't like, but still I'm on the offense about buying it. But no, that did not satisfy my expectations I had. And it doesn't mean it's a bad pattern. A lot of people have done it. It looks really good when they have done it. It just wasn't my expectations for it. I think I had hope for more different kinds of animals and not so much birds. Call it that. So yeah. Next section, how many? How many whips at the start of the year? I had 13 whips at the start of the year. How many whips at the end of the year? I ended my year with 32 whips. Note that in the end, I did start 7 or 8 whips just at the end, just to have it started before No New Start 2019. Just as you know, not all of them would have been there if 2019 was a normal stitching year for me. But still, it's not that bad. How many starts during the year? Hold tight. I had 78 starts. 78. I had almost 80 starts. If I had knew this before my doing this review, before it turned 2019, I would for sure, just for fun, start 2 more. So yeah, and probably now you're thinking, you started with 13, you ended up with 32, you did 78 starts. How many finishes did you have? Well, that's the next question. I had 58 finishes during the year. So, yeah. And if some of the calculations there isn't adding up, I can see it's not adding up. It most likely is because some of the starts I had was also a whip at the beginning of the year. But I restarted it and I count that as a start when I did a restart. So I think it's like one or two missing for, I think actually it's just one. Yeah, it's just one. It's the Children in the Garden piece that I did restart. If I didn't count that as a restart, as a start, because this was a restart, or didn't count it as a whip, it makes the math go up. 13. How many FFOs? I had 41 FFOs. And I'm always saying I never do FFOs. But I had 41 FFOs. I will say most of them are the coasters that I made for Christmas, and each one of the coaster I count as one FFO because each one of those took pretty long time to do just one and do them perfect. So they looked perfect. So yeah, 41. How many UFOs temporary? I don't actually have anyone, but at the same time I do have, but they're not UFOs, it's just since I'm doing No New Start 2019, my focus is going to be trying to get my whip pile down. How many whips I have to go at once, because I really like to focus on the whips I am stitching on, and I don't like to switch out too often. And when I do like to switch, it's nice with just a little stitch, 40 by 40, 50 by 50, something like that. And stitch that one, finish it, and then switch. So I still like to focus on getting them done. I like, yeah, I just like focus and not change up too much, because when I stitch, I get in a groove. When I sit and stitch, especially if I stitch big blocks of color, my brain is just working all the time about what to stitch next, how to stitch this next, and this part next, and da 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 da. So when I sit and stitch, my brain is planning how to stitch the whole thing up. And if I then put it away, then I have to do all that work again when I take it up, because I have forgotten most, not everything, but most of how I wanted to stitch it. And I also like the fact that after stitching 1 or 2 days, I usually start to remember some of the symbols against what floss it is, DMC number. And after 3 or 4 days, I usually, if it's not like a big hate, I usually remember all of them. So I really don't need to look at symbols and match it to DMC, etc., etc. I remember it. So, and with Hades, it usually takes me about 2 weeks of stitching, and then I can remember all 90 colors. That's what happened with my QS Huggable. And that's why I think I actually really loved my 100 Days of Hate challenges, because I stitch on it each and every day. So I remembered exactly what floss I was going to have. I remember exactly where in my bobbin box it was, or if I had the rings with the bobbins on, I remember exactly what ring to go to and where on the ring to find it, etc., etc. That's just how my brain works. So I want to whip down, so I have a few whips that I work on all the time, and not a bunch of different ones. So, and that way I think I can get even more finishes in reality, because I focus more. So when it comes to temporary whips, I have 2 Joan Elliott's whips right now. So, or 3 if you count the Cinderella in rags and the one in riches. Those 2 are on a hold until I get finished the baby blanket, because that is a design by Joan Elliott. So kind of temporary UFO, but still not a UFO. And if there's a challenge with the magical stitches that makes it so my Cinderella works, then I will pull her out and stitch on her. It's not like I have put her away forever. It's just she is not going to be a focus. So I will say I have 0 temporary UFOs. And the next questions, I have 0 permanent UFOs. I don't have any. I used 2018 or the end of 2017, when I for real started stitching again, my goal was to do all of my UFOs and get them done. So even before 2018, before I did floss tube, I think I finished off 1, 2, 3, 4, I think maybe 5 whips that I had laying around that I did finish. So, and that's also why I'm so focused on my Lady and the Tiger. One, I do love her, yes. She can be hard to work on because all of that blocks of colors. And she really doesn't fit the way I park, so I don't do a cross country with her, but yeah. I just stitch the color I have until it's done. Don't jump more than 2 or 3 stitches away from where I have stitches, and just finish off the floss. Sometimes I do just park it or hang it for the next place to come if it's a long jump, but yeah. And the last of this section, how many full coverage pages complete? I had 13 page finishes, and 6 of those ended up being a fully finished, my QS Huggable, as I did show you. So if I add together the 7 pages that did not end up in a finish together with my finishes, I had 65 finishes. So, pretty neat number. And yeah, my thought about the whole Lady and the Tiger thing, I'm focusing on getting my UFOs away. So I have worked on that for over a year, and I will continue working on getting those done, because they were UFOs and isn't anymore, and I'm working to getting them done. Because I have bought them, I have used money on them, and it's because I do like them. I just, for some weird reason, they were put away. So, next section, first and last. My first start of the year was my Freebie Maui Princess by Hade. I forgot to pull her out, but she doesn't have much stitching done. I think I have maybe 300 stitches, and it's a full coverage. You did see it in my whip parade. She was my New Year, New Start. And yeah, should never have started her when I did. I was planning on stitching my Lady and the Tiger and Epic Pokemon and a new full coverage. When focusing on 2 full coverage is just not the thing for me, but I learn of my mistakes. My last start of the year was my Snowy Old Snowman by Mill Hill. It's still a whip, so if you wonder how it looked like, go to my whip parade. Finish of the year. My first finish of the year was actually a page finish. So it was this page on my QS Huggable, page 1. And if you do not count page finishes, my first finish of the year was my 12 Ductils Clock by Clouds Factory. My last finish of the year was my ink circles 4 in the bush that I converted myself into silks for you. Regrets. Regrets purchase. I had some, when I tried to get the full DMC set, I bought some lot of floss on eBay, and I really regret just buying them because they ended up doing more work than good. So those. And also I managed to buy two of one Nora Corbett pattern, Xenia, the Bewitched Pixie. So I really have to like her. But in a way, since I'm doing floss tube, and I was thinking that I did want to have a Mirabilia or Nora Corbett giveaway when we are closing in to 1,000 subscribers. It's really not that bad. So you probably know one of the things in the giveaway for 1,000 subscribers. Regret starting. It's not like I regret starting this whip at all, because I do like the pattern and I really wanted to do it. The problem was I started it too late. It's my Temperature Garden by Stitching Mommy. You can find it on Etsy. And I do regret starting it too late because I did always feel I had to play catch up. And since I was doing by the numbers, I had other things I wanted to do. So my rotation, I only got to work on it once a month. And that, it's just, I couldn't keep up. So I regret starting it too late. And knowing me going forward, if I am going to do a sale and keep up with it, I need to have all of the border and so on done before the sale actually starts. So I don't have to try and keep up with that before the sale is starting. Regret stopping. I did not UFO anything. One of the things I do regret, in a way, did stop is my Fancy Ladies. None of my Fancy Ladies got any good, or my Winter Queen did have some good days of stitching on her. I think she got 1 or 2 5-day rotations. But I regret not getting more done on my Fancy Ladies because I really love stitching them. I just, for some reason, focus so much on getting my full coverage done that it's usually I focus full coverage and then I focus small mediums. So my Fancy Ladies and larger project kind of like ends in the middle and I don't take my time to stitch on them. And that is one of the things I want to try and change this year. Regrets not participating. Well, I have a really big FOMO, fear of missing out. So I tried, the year that has been, I think I tried to join almost everything. And that is actually more what I do regret, participating than not participating, because it was too much and it burned me out. So this year is I try to keep it really low what I am participating in. my biggest thing there that I didn't, in a way, I wasn't supposed to do, but still I really love the idea, is the magical school of stitching and reading challenge that is going on. And since I'm a Ravenclaw, I feel kind of like I have to do my very, very best, which is a typical Ravenclaw. So yeah. And if you're wondering, are you a Ravenclaw? Well, in reality, when I took the test, I'm actually just as much Ravenclaw as I'm Gryffindor as I am Hufflepuff. And I'm like 1% Slytherin. That is not me at all. The three others, I'm a pretty good mix of, and the only reason I got Ravenclaw is because on the question, what house do you want to belong to? I was like, I don't know, which one should I choose? And my husband was like, do Ravenclaw, you're weird. And I was like, okay, Ravenclaw, so I ended up being Ravenclaw. So, and I think on the Pottermore, when I did that, I did that later. I actually ended up being Gryffindor, I think. So yeah. But for the challenge, I am Ravenclaw. I'm fine with that, so. Continuing with this. New to you. Tools. My lowery stand, my Omnic frames, invisible thread, Nymo thread, some of the apps I am using, GoodNotes, it's new to me, and how to use that, a time tracking app was new to me in 2018. Yeah, I think that's the main ones that I use for stitching. And new to me techniques or stitch, the pin stitch, especially the pin stitch under a stitch that is stitched already. So if I have made an X, I can actually do the pin stitch under that X. That was new to me. I didn't know I could do that. But when I was searching pin stitch for other than Aida, because I have seen the Needlebug do it on Aida, I then found Carolyn Manning. Most Flosstubers know who she is, and she has been away for some years now, but she had some great tutorials, and she did one where she shows the pin stitch both on even weave and Aida, and both that you can do them under an existing X. So, new to you designer, Tiny Modernist, Caterpillar Cross Stitch, Lola Lota Shop on Etsy, and a bunch of other Etsy shops. Fabric. All the counts that is higher than 32, so 38 count. I didn't know about it, but I hadn't tried stitching on it before 2018. So 38 count, 40 count, 46 count, 56 count. I hadn't tried before. And all of those are like different Bergen linen, Newcastle linen, Kingston linen. I think one of them is Dalarna linen. Yeah, a bunch of different linens. New to me thread. I do only count the ones I tried and that I tried in 2018. So Silks for You, Victoria Motto Sampler, Weeks Dye Work, Whisper Thread, Krynic, Etoile by DMC, Petite Treasure Braid, Treasure Braid number 12, Hand Dye by Rolanda, DMC Metallics, and Silk Lamy Braid. So, new to me vendors or shops, Patchwork Rabbit and So, and I have actually been using them a whole lot after I discovered them. I really like So because 123 Stitch has way too high shipping to Norway. And everyone is like, well, when they are ordering, well, I need to put some extra in to make the shipping worthwhile. I can't do that because the shipping goes up when I try to add more and it's not worthwhile. But So has a really good selection of flosses and so on. So I have really starting to like them to find a good amount of what I need. And then together with Lakeside Needlecraft, they also have a really good selection. I find most of what I want. And Patchwork Rabbit, I am a really big fan of the pattern of the month, or yeah, you get of one of the Country Cottage Needleworks or Little House Needleworks, the series you can get those from there, and you can decide to get from 1 to 3 patterns each month, and you get it fully kitted up. Or if you want, you can get them fully kitted up. So you can order the specialty floss, the DMC, buttons, fabric, either separately for each one or one big one to do everything on. And I just love that. For me to not having to worry about finding everything. I know I will get all the patterns in that series because I like to do big projects, and then I like to do everything in a series and so on. So I really like Patchwork Rabbit. And new to me terminology, railroading. That actually took me a long while to find out what it was, because not many Fosterburg did explain what it was. A lot of people were like, and I will remind you, usually when I watch people, I start from the beginning and then watch up to where they have posted when I find a new one. So they might later on have said what railroading is, but not in the beginning. So everyone was like, I'm a railroader, I'm not a railroader, I usually railroad. And I'm like, what is railroading? Well, it's basically when you do more than one strand, you take when you're going down to do a leg, when stitching, you take your needle in between the flosses you have. If you have 2 strands, you put it in between the 2 strands of floss and then go down the hole to make your leg look neater, so the floss will lay more beside each other. And some do it just on the top leg, some do it on all the legs. So that's railroading. It took me a long while to find out, so I think I didn't find out what it was before like March 2018, and I have been wondering about this question since like December 2017. So yeah, new to me floss tube channels, there's way too many to mention. I'm sorry. I would like to shout everyone out and so on, but my videos is already pretty long, and this one will be pretty long also. And then shouting out 50 different Flosstubers, it just takes too much time. I'm sorry, but I love all of you, and you have my love and support by I always like each and every video if I don't comment, but I have also tried and be better about commenting. So, a mix of question is the next part. What did you learn this year? Not to do all the events. What did you teach someone this year? I learned my niece how to bead on a cross stitch because she was really curious about how I did do that, because I beaded on one of her cross stitches that she did get in a present, so I showed her. And she also wants to teach cross stitch, so next time I am visiting them, I will most likely try and find something she can do and teach her. Did you become real life friends with any stitchers you only knew via social media previously? Well, yes and no. No, in the fact that I still haven't met them face to face. I live in Norway. There's not many people visiting Norway. Right now I am with me not working. When you're not working in Norway, you're actually not allowed to leave the country for some reason, or if you leave the country, then you will not get your income for that month. And when you do only get 66% of your normal income each and every month, those weeks with no income is pretty severe. So safe to say I can't leave the country. But I will also say yes, even though I only know some of my friends on social media. Some I talk to each and every day, and I know they're always there if I have a really bad day, if I just need to scream and shout to someone because I'm so frustrated on my husband or something that did happen. They are there and they are always supporting me, so I will say yes, because they are my real life friends, even though I don't see them. But hey, I can see them on Instagram and Flosstube. So I will say yes on that question. Are you happy with what you accomplished this year? Yeah, I think so. I think I did break every record I ever had not recorded. Safe to say. I have never had so many starts. I have never had so many finishes. It's been mind-blowing to see what I can do. To the point where that's why I'm trying to take it a little bit slow this year, 2019, because I'm so mind blown that I almost feel guilty for using so much time on stitching. So, what were your goals for 2018? How do they measure up to what you accomplish? I actually didn't have any. Or I didn't have that many. I know I wanted to get my oldest WIP out of the ways, except for my Lady and the Tiger and the Big Baby Blanket, because I didn't think I would be able to get them done. So I wanted my Children in the Garden, my Tiger, and the 2 baby bibs done, and I did. So, and I think I finished those in May? Something like that. April. I think think I did fully finish one of those in May as a gift, but I think I finished them in April, maybe May. Has your stitching style or organization changed during this year? If so, how? If no, are there any changes or improvements you'd like to make? Well, yes, there is a lot of changes to my stitching and stitching style, and it's still changing. I started parking, and I started my way of parking, and I have done many variations of my way of parking and so on. So I'm constantly changing, and depending on the whip is depending on what method I am using. As for my Lady and the Tiger, as I said, I can't use my way of parking, so I'm doing it another way. And the same with my Epic Pokemon, I have to do it another way because parking my way on it uses too much time. It's not worth it. And I also started two-handed stitching and using pin stitch most of the time. Previously I have always secured on the back, now I'm using pin stitch instead. So constant change. Did you fall victim to FOMO, fear of missing out? Were there any project that you would pass on starting if you were given the chance to go back in time and do it all over? My Stiachelon. If I would most likely get the pattern and stitches later if I went back, so I could see it all done and stitch it in colors and such. And I really didn't like any of the endings, so I would most likely look at someone else's ending and change mine up to be similar to those and make the colors and everything be better. So, did you participate in any SALs? If so, which one was your favorite? Yes, I did. My favorite was the Haunted Mansion SAL, which I'm still not done with, and that's okay because that means I get to stitch more on it. What did you learn about yourself through your stitching this year? Not to do SALs as SALs and not to do mystery SALs. Just wait until they're all out and do them then. What was your favorite event that you participated in this year's? I think I will have to say By the Numbers or Stitchathon. I did love 100 Days of Hay Challenge, but not with so many whips. If I only had like 5 whips, 100 Days of Hate would be perfect for me. I think I would do it all year. But with so many whips that I have, it's not a good thing. But I like By the Numbers because it made me work on my full coverage project each and every month. And I liked Stiachathon because every 2 or 3 weeks on a weekend I would try and stitch as much as I could. And what I then did was I usually picked about 5 or 6 different whips to work on and to be able to work on, and sometimes I stitched some on all of them, and sometimes I stitched just on 1 or 2 or 3 of them. And that was really nice because it got me, I usually did choose 1 full coverage, 1 fancy lady, one small, and so on. So I got like a good mix of different things to do and stitched a lot that weekend when I had the time. At the end, it didn't work very well, but before October, I think I had a pretty good roll with those. 41. Were there any 2018 stitching fads that you didn't jump on the bandwagon for, but you're still considering? I don't know. I have been thinking a little bit about the more geometric patterns, like long dog samplers and so on. They're starting to really grow on me. I have always liked them, but I like them just more and more in a way. So the whole Amtrak thing that Caroline Off the Grid, again, hoity-toity, I will say Caroline from Off the Grid started. So a bunch of people started hoity-toity. The Modern Folk Embroidery Sal. I really love how that turned out. I have been following the progress of one stitcher that have completed it, and I really love it. So those might be something I do in the future. I'm not sure if I will do hoity-toity, or I think it's called Spangled by Long Dog Sampler. But yeah, and maybe get a Sampler Cove pattern. I'm not sure if it will be the Amtrak, but yeah, maybe one of those. 2019. What project are you most looking forward to starting? To really start it, Cinderella by Mirabilia. I have half-stitch started it, but not fully started it. I'm really looking forward to stitching that. I think it will be a fun project to do. What projects are you most looking forward to finishing? It depends. This year I'm not so focused about finishing and get finishes. I'm more focused about getting good progress done on my bigger project. So getting page finishes on my full coverage projects and so on. So I'm actually not planning that much to finish anything. The only exception is The Legend of the Blue Sea, because she was a 2017 start and I want to finish her in 2019, so I don't carry her over to 2020. So yeah, and maybe also I have the dragon coasters that are on the same piece of fabric that my Biscornu. I also want to get those done so I can make the Biscornu. So other than that, I have not planned to finish anything. I will take it as I go and just get some good work in. Oh, one thing I'm going to finish is my wedding sampler that I'm doing for my cousin. I'm also looking forward to finish that one. So that's actually all the finishes I have planned to do this year, and as I said, rest I will take as they come. Do you intend to be more determined or laid back in your stitching in the coming year? Well, if you haven't noticed, I'm Winnie the Pooh, so I will be determined laid back. So I have decided that I am going to be more laid back, at least try to be, not do too many events, not feel like I have to stitch each and every day. But at the same time, I am pretty determined that I'm not going to start anything new. So yeah, in a way I am determined, but I have decided that I'm going to be laid back, so it's a determined laid back. What event are you most looking forward to participating in? The mountain climbing that I am hosting over at the Fluffy Rainbow Unicorn Kawaii Stitchers group. I really like the fact that you don't have to count stitches. The only thing you have to do is time yourself when stitching. So you have to set on a timer when you start the stitch, and you have to stop it when you stop the stitch. Then you post you take a picture of your whip, you post it, say what whip it is, how many minutes you stitched, and if it was distracted or non-distracted. Just so, for some people, when they're stitching, they're just stitching. They're not doing anything else, and they get more done than they would have if you are distracted, like watching TV, stitching while you have company, etc., etc. So that will just give more points to the end goal. But still, both of them works fine. Most is actually stitching distracted, I have found. So what are your stitching resolution for next year? To be more relaxed. Not to do sales as sales. And be fine with me having the longer rotations that I actually do love. When I finished my 7-day rotation on my Lady and the Tiger, it became 8 because I didn't stitch a day. Woohoo! I actually had a day I didn't stitch. But I did give her 7 days of stitching, mostly because by the numbers salves. I did her both as the 2,400 stitching and the 1,200 stitches. So I did almost 4,000 stitches on her in the 7 days before putting her away. And when I was putting her away, I was actually sad because I had come to the point where I really did enjoy stitching on her and I didn't want to put her away. And that is showing me more and more that I need to whip down and that I need to more focus on the ones I am doing over longer periods of time. And I just need to be comfortable with that, even though I'm doing floss tube. Because doing floss tube, I do feel like I have to have more to show, which will not happen now, because I'm stitching more on one whip. But in a way, I have more to show on that whip. So yeah, I just need to think that even though my monthly videos will end up being 25 minutes, half an hour, you all will still love to see my stitching and what I get to do. And maybe it will be fun to see someone getting a lot done on a few whips. Will you be participating in any sales? I don't think so. I haven't signed up for any. The only one I have stitch started is the Fantasy Sale that is going in the magazine Cross Stitcher. Because this year I wanted to have a magazine that I get, a cross-stitching magazine that I get in as a paper copy. And I didn't quite know which one I wanted. and when I saw that they're doing a fantasy sale, then I thought that, well, I can have Stitch started and I will get the magazines in my mail, and if I end up liking it, then I can stitch it. But still, I do like the Cross Stitcher magazine, so there most likely will be other things from there I would want to stitch, so it's not like I have bought those just for the sale. It's because I wanted the magazine and I chose that one. And it was convenient that it had a sale going. So I might do that one. I just don't know yet. I need to get other things out of the way, and then I will see. Before I start a big part of the stitching, I want to do all the border first. Except beads, I think, because beads are really annoying when stitching other things, and there's a lot of bead in border. So yeah, something like that. Are there any materials, stitches, techniques you'd like to try in the new year? Well, I hope that I can be good enough to not buy anything special, so I can get the money for my chatelaine, most likely for my birthday. And I have half stitch started my chatelaine, actually in the wrong color, because the place I wanted to start was a Petite Treasure braid that I didn't have in my stash, so I just used, I had like a tiny amount of a floss left on a bobbin that I most likely wouldn't use for anything, so I just used that to mark off where to start, and hopefully I can stitch on my chatelaine, either that I get it for my birthday so I can stitch it on my birthday, or that I get to order it on my birthday and start it later in the year. So start my chatelaine and everything that it is new with that, including flosses and so on. I think that will be fun. So I hope to get that started at least, but we'll see. And the last section, non-stitching. What was the best thing that happened to you this year? This was a tough one. I really struggle with this because 2018 has been a really hard year for me. But I think I will say one of the best things that has happened is Flosstube. Doing Flosstube and get all the support from you, all the friends that I have made through Flosstube. That has been a really positive thing in my life, and I'm amazed that even though I have had so much going against me this year, normally I would had a really bad depression period going on, and the longest I had was, I have had one day where I was just in bed and didn't go out of my bed at all day. Couldn't deal with it, and yeah, but that's actually the one stitching day I didn't stitch this year, and that's actually a big improvement for me when it comes to my depressions, because usually when I get my depressions I get hit really hard, and I can be in bed for weeks, months. So I'm still struggling, but knowing you all are out there, I actually want to do my Flosstube videos, so that helps. Getting out of bed, taking a shower, it helps. So, and other than floss tube and everything that comes with that, I think I have to say my summer vacation. It was a really fun vacation we had. Going to the zoo with my son, he was so enjoying himself and seeing all the animals, and yeah, that was really fun. And of course, just seeing my son, how he has developed this year, how long he has come in being a great person. That's fun. So yeah, I don't have a specific, oh, that was the most amazing thing, but there's been some things here and there all the way, all the time, that really has made the year worth living. So, 50, last question. What are your resolutions for next year's? I usually don't do New Year's resolutions. Honestly, I think they're silly, because most people are like, oh, I am going to start to train, I am going to stop eating candy, etc, etc. And it lasts for what? A month? I'm like, nah, I'm not waiting for New Year to make a resolution. I will make it when I'm ready to make it. So I have resolutions, I have things I want to do this year's. Resolutions I have given myself. One of the things I asked for as a Christmas present was to get money to be able to buy a membership on a training center to start training. But that is something I decided on before the new year. It's just with December and everything and getting the money, yes, it's 2019. And now I don't want to go to the center because I know everyone is starting now and are going to drop out in a week or two. And I'm just, no, I'm gonna start when everyone else is away, because I don't like a full center. I like to start training when there's room for me to be without feeling suffocated. I don't like much people. I like you people. I just don't like a lot of people. So yeah, one of the things I'm going to do is to try and start and train. It will not be hardcore pumping. I can't do that with my illness. It will just make me worse and I will end up back where I am. But what I will do is the training center I'm going to do, they have like different kinds of easier training, like going on your inner muscles, like yoga. They have like these things you're standing in, so when you can like, they're like bungee things. You stand in and jump around the room and do different stuff in the air, and yeah, those kind of training. That is also an easier training because the thing you are standing in gives you a lot of stability in your body. And with me having joints that can bend way too much, just standing upright is actually pretty hard for me and energy consuming, which is a bad combination with my illness. So my husband often jokes about my existence is draining a lot of energy from me, and it's true. In a way it is. A lot of me being me and having my illness, I'm not good for me. So going to try and train my inner muscles. And so hopefully my everyday thing as just standing up and walking around won't take as much energy from me, because I kind of like have to have bigger muscles than normal people to be able to hold my joints in place and so on, because they're overbending. Like if you see my elbow, it's not supposed to bend like that. No, it's not. I'm overbending. And that's not me not even trying to overbend. I just did take it out to the point where it was natural for me to stop. And it's not good for your body to stand on your joints all the time. Let's say it like that. So yeah, that's my resolution for this year. Trying to build up some inner muscles, and hopefully that will give me more energy and be able to work better just in my normal life, because right now I don't. Right now, taking a shower it feels like I have run a marathon when I'm done showering. Let's just say that. I saw a TED Talk about a woman that was talking about my illness. And she said that her life basically evolved around having to make stupid decisions. Which it is. Mine also. She said, I can either shower one day, or I can go and sit out in the sun for 15 minutes one day. But I can't do both. And that pretty much sums up my life. Always have to make decisions. Am I going to shower today? Or am I going to try and make dinner for my son and husband when they come home from kindergarten and work? And it's sometimes tough decisions to make, so I need to try and focus on building my inner muscles up, and hopefully that can help me, if I'm lucky, to be able to both shower and make dinner. So yeah, with that, I really hope you did have some cross stitching, or you did have, I don't know, laundry you folded, paused and did take something to eat, something to drink. This was full when I started, and you can see I have pretty much drank that up. So yeah, I hope you had something to do. I hope you enjoyed. I had a great time being with you, as I always am. And please feel free to leave a comment. I always enjoy getting comments. Thank you so much for the support on the A to C Stitch with me that I have gotten. I was so nervous about that, and you all have been so open and welcoming and really enjoying it. And that's wonderful. It's wonderful I can do something that takes so little energy off me. Those A to C Stitch with me's, really, I don't need to use a lot of energy on them. Stitching is one of the things that gives me energy, so if I can sit and stitch and make a floss tube, that is amazing. So they will definitely be coming. And I love all the other interaction. And thank you so much, everyone, for the support. I was pretty afraid of telling about my illness and such, and you all have been amazing in the response I have gotten, and both on FlossTube, and some have contacted me on Messenger and Instagram, and thank you. Really, thank you. It has helped a lot. It's wonderful to know that someone there is wanting the best for you and will not be mad at you for staying in bed all day, but instead be cheering you on to give you the support you need to get out of the bed. So thank you so much, everyone. It has meant a lot. I'm very, very grateful for having you all in my life. So yeah, feel free to leave a comment, feel free to push that like button, and if you want to see more from me, push the subscribe button. So, with that and my lovely ears, I feel like I'm back to being like 14 again. Yeah, at least as someone once told me when I did wear these was that those really fit you. I'm like, yeah, they do. I could be a teddy bear. Take it or leave it. Maybe that's what I'm going to do from now on. My 2019 resolution is to use my ears on every video. We'll see. Maybe you will also see them next time. Okay, with that, I'm gonna leave you, and I will see you at the end of January. So, in about 21 days, give or take, whenever it is a good time for me to film. And of course, you will see me each and every Friday for the A to Z Stitch with me, because that is launching each and every Friday, 12 p.m. my time. I'm Eastern European. No, I'm Central European Standard Time. So it launches then, and it should be in time for the Friday of the grid if you're doing the stitching. So I hope you enjoy, and they will keep coming. I will also try next week. Today is the 10th of January, so I will try next week on the Tuesday and have a live stitch with me. So with that, thank you so much, and I will see you. Bye!